Here at Orlando Fashion Square, we've been here since 1973. We've seen a lot of changes in Orlando, including hard economic times. But I believe that we continue to survive because we're not just a mall, we're a community center. Orlando Fashion Square is very fortunate. We're still opening stores even in this time, despite all the press, and we'll be looking at new stores coming throughout 2009.
We spend a lot of time here. I've been here 15 years. It does feel like a community center. It's very different from the other malls. This is more of a family-oriented mall.
It's been that way for 35 years. It'll be that way long into the future. We want the community to feel that this is their mall, this is their center.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dead Mall Walking. Today we're checking out Fashion Square Mall, on the outskirts of Orlando, Florida. This mall was opened in 1973, and from what I can tell, it was legitimately popular for a time. Everything we just heard about the mall being a community centre, pulled from a 2009 video on the Fashion Square PR YouTube channel, wasn't just bluster and buzzwords from the marketing director. Check out this footage from 15 years ago. Jessica Simpson, is that you? The mall was absolutely hopping that recently, even in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. So what happened to the mall in the meantime, leaving the almost empty husk we have today? I have some theories, including a creepy incident upstairs that had me running for the elevator. But we'll get to that. As you can probably tell, the mall has been majorly revamped since it opened in the 70s. In 2002, the interior underwent a huge renovation, and it definitely has that late 90s, early 90s vibe. It reminded me of Landmark Mall and Tri-County Mall in a lot of ways. And although it seems to have some ongoing issues with the roof leaking, I actually think it has pretty good bones. Unfortunately, as we'll see later in the video, that's probably not going to be enough to save it. No pretzel for me today, I guess. The mall has changed hands quite a few times, purchased by Priet in 2004, and sold again in 2013 to Up Development. When Up defaulted on their loan in 2018, Bancorp assumed ownership and placed Urban Retail Properties in charge of leasing and operations. Other properties in Urban Retail's portfolio include the Collection in Arizona, Tennessee's College Square Mall, the Somerville Town Center in California, Miami's Southland Mall, and Monroe Crossing Mall in North Carolina. If there are locals out there with perspectives on how those malls, or any other urban retail malls, are doing, then please let me know in the comments below. The Square? I'm there. Maybe not. And despite spending a couple of hours here, I never did figure out what the ladies' door is. Where's the ladies' door? Here's something I don't get. Just a couple of miles away from this mall is the lush and leafy Baldwin Park neighborhood. Affluent, green and gorgeous, it's as close as I found to Stars Hollow in Florida. I expected to find Lorelei and Rory Gilmore around every corner. As Baldwin Park's local mall, this place should be full of upmarket retailers and specialty stores. Yet, what we actually have, no shade to these places, is a Dillard's clearance store, a Macy's, albeit a very cool looking Macy's, complete with Bird Iron's palm trees, and, at certain points of the year, Spirit Halloween is its anchor stores. With the exception of a few household names like Hot Topic, Journeys and Finish Line, almost all of the big brands have bailed on this place. You know a mall is in trouble when it can't even hang on to a Bath & Body Works or a Victoria's Secret. I've been to a ton of sketchy malls, and although I'm always cautious, I'm not easily spooked. When I went up to the upper floor, I didn't take much notice of a guy getting in the elevator with me, until he flashed me a smile that was somewhere between a snarl and a lecherous grin. There's nothing upstairs except for the movie theatre, but that's not where he was headed. He was headed everywhere that I was headed. I got the gut feeling that something wasn't right, so I quickened my pace to lose him and headed back to the elevator after a quick loop around what was accessible up there, which wasn't much. I managed to get in there and bailed out. I'm still not sure if this guy was hoping to mug me or hook up with me, no interest either way, but it was definitely an unsettling experience. As well as a Publix, Baldwin Park itself has a range of boutique stores, restaurants, bars and banks. With all that on the doorstep, it makes you wonder, if you experienced something like I did at this mall, why would you bother to go back? But to my surprise, I didn't find a ton of news articles about crime in and around the mall. With the exception of the bomb squad being called over a suspicious package at the beginning of 2023, it turned out to be a drinks cooler that someone had left behind. There's a lot of talk about the idea of a 15-minute city right now, and it felt to me like Baldwin Park was already executing that concept pretty well. Which might explain why recent plans to redevelop Fashion Square Mall as an outdoor commercial and retail space, with 1,400 on-site residential apartments, have recently been greenlit. After 10 or so failed plans over the last 15 years, it seems like the majority of this mall is finally set to be demolished. But with a projected cost of around $1 billion, yes, $1 billion, this project isn't a sure thing yet. And it's not like it will make all of the problems associated with areas like this just go away. A piece on the news described the proposed redevelopment as giving the area a Winter Park Village kind of feel. On the trip I filmed this video, I called off a visit to Winter Park Village when 2 people were shot the day before I planned to go there. Now we're coming along to one of the active anchors of the mall with this Macy's, which used to be Burdines. I think I mispronounced it as Burdines in a previous video, which I'm sure made the Floridians out there very angry at me. But you know this used to be a Burdines because of these awesome palm trees, which look like they're straight out of a Vaporwave album cover. Looking at that ear-piercing sign, I think that used to be a Claire's on the right here. It's not often you see a shuttered Claire's, even in a struggling mall. You can see how all of the storefronts on the left are covered with panels of drywall or something, which is pretty grim because it just shows they've given up even trying to fill the vacant storefronts behind it. Anyone want to get a portrait with me? This place looks a little fancier than your average glamour shots. There are a couple of interesting tenants in here, but they're few and far between. Like the National Entrepreneur Centre, a non-profit dedicated to helping small business owners that seems to be very well respected, and moved into the mall in 2011. And all of the vacancies throughout the mall really speak to the core issue at hand here. Current operators Urban Retail have absolutely no incentive to improve the occupancy rate of the mall. With plans to demolish and redevelop the area around it, I'm not sure how confident Urban Retail could be leasing out vacant storefronts anyway. After all, who wants to sign up for a space in a mall that could be closing permanently at any moment? So this whole space currently exists in limbo, shuffling along like this mall walker I encountered by the old Sears anchor space. But don't worry, you can still sip, shop, Just isn't how quiet it is down this end of the mall. Nothing but me and the wind. Orlando Fashion Square is at a crossroads right now. It only has around 35 tenants, including the National Entrepreneur Centre, spread across more than 1 million square feet of retail space. Just down the road, Florida Mall and the mall at Millennia are thriving, packed with high-end retailers. Plans to tear this whole space down seem closer to fruition than they've ever been before. Yet everything I read about this place suggests that during the 90s and early noughties it was the place to be. Now it feels like walking around something out of the Twilight Zone. How quickly things can change. If you're hoping to check this place out, A, watch out for creepy dudes getting in the elevator with you, and B, make sure you do it soon. Because if everything the news reports are saying is true, it may not be with us much longer. Thanks for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, likes and subscribes are always appreciated. You'll find my Instagram, Patreon, and some other ways to support the channel in the description below. Until next time, goodbye from Orlando Fashion Square. The Square, I'm there. For now.